Hi everybody, this is Arun and welcome to Visualpath CRT channel. The last two sessions you've been hearing about aptitude from Jaydev, and in this session I'll be guiding you through with verbal ability. I've got a total of 8 years of experience training students for the verbal part for both competitive examinations and overseas studies. And this is a privilege for me to help you with NQT test from TCS for the year 2024. The test is around the corner and you do not have too many days to prepare. So this is the time to brush up on your skills, and within this video I'm going to make sure you brush up everything that you have learned so far so that you improve your scores on the test from whatever the stage you are. So this is going to be a plus 15 or plus 20 to your score. So listen to the video very carefully, and if you have any doubts, put it in the comment section and we'll reach out to you with a proper solution to that. So without much of these ado, let's delve into the subject. Now, you may get this question, what's the need for verbal ability for a test like NQT? Now, you're all going to be software professionals with a company. Why do you even need verbal ability? You have to understand that once you get into these organizations, you are the face of the organization. And a proper communication is very essential for the soft and smooth functioning of any organization. And verbal ability is not just about speaking properly, it's also about communication. And if you can communicate well with your peers in the organization, with your hierarchy, with your clients, that makes it a win-win situation both for you and the company you're working for. And TCS, which is a consulting firm, as it stands with the name itself, is eagerly looking out for someone who's really good with the verbal ability that will help its promotion and functioning in a much easier way. And for that reason, you got to be good with the verbal ability. And verbal ability is not just confined to speaking, it's also about documentation, because you will be documenting all the files, codes, and everything related to your technology. And you will be interacting with the clients as well. And there can be a situation where you may have an irate client. And to soften this situation, to cool down their tempers, you need a perfect communication. And TCS is going to tap on these candidates who are really good with that communication. Moreover, with a good verbal ability, it's going to be it's going to give you an added advantage. That's like the competitive edge you have over your peers appearing for the same test. So those with the better of these verbal ability qualities are the ones company is looking for. So this is the importance of verbal ability for an organization like TCS or any good company in the world. Now let's understand what are the topics and what are the things that you should be looking for while you brush up on your skills, because this is the time you're only going to brush up on your skills, as much of the time is not left and the exam is around the corner. So you are going to brush up on your skills and make sure you get those extra 10, 15 marks that's going to shape your future. Before we start that, I would like to congratulate you all because you made your first step towards a positive career by enrolling for the NQT test. So you've done the major part. Now the actual battle is waiting for you. So let's see how to tackle this battle. Let's begin with synonyms. Synonyms are words which mean the same. Maybe with the context, maybe with the word, there are certain other words which mean the same. For example, happy. It can be joyful, cheerful, delighted. Now you'll be getting a question asking to find a word which is close to in meaning or which is close to in the context that is used in a sentence there. So for the synonyms part, they're going to give you a word and ask you to find a very close word. Now let's try understanding synonyms with few of examples. I'm going to give you some of the examples on this. Let me take this off before we proceed further with the other questions. Let's solve a question from the previous NQT paper. Now, if you look at the word abundant, either you should be aware of the meaning for the word abundant or you should be looking out for the options. If you know the meaning of the word abundant, then it'll be easy to pick the word which is very close to abundant. Now, if we check sparse, limited, and scarce, these three are synonyms here. Which all mean limited in value, and we have only one word which is plentiful, that's full of something, and here this is full of something, and we have one full of something. So this will be your answer for abundant. So either you need to know the direct word which is close to this. If you know the synonym of abundant, it's easy to pick plentiful as the option, or based out of the options here, you can pick out the odd one. Sparse, limited, and scarce, all three of them are low in amount or something that is short. But plentiful is more than something we have, enough. So this one is odd, and this has to be an answer because of the four options, there's only going to be one word which is going to be synonym for abundant. So the odd one has to be the synonym. Or if you know the direct meaning, you can connect these words together and you can pick C, plentiful, as your answer. Let's try solving this with another example. Let's solve these three questions. Okay, these are some words which you have heard it previously, but maybe on the day of test you may find it a little difficult, or some of you are not aware of these words, or some of you may know the context but not the exact meaning of these. Whatever the case it is, you can still find an answer for these questions because from the options there is always one option which is totally different from the rest. Now let's start with vibrant. You might have heard vibrant as vibrant colors, vibrant music. Okay, so vibrant color, it gives you a positive vibe, as in vibrant is very much attractive or catchy. This is something you have to brainstorm. This is something you have to think on the day of test. So the word vibrant is a positive one. And you need something that is really positive from the four options that you have to be a synonym for vibrant. If you look at dull, you all know dull is something that is lackluster or something that is boring. Drab, okay, drab may not be exactly like dull, but this is a repeated action. Okay, so even this doesn't have that vibrant look in it or the vibrant feel in it. Gloomy, gloom, the word gloom in itself has something depressing. So dull, drab and gloomy do not attract the vibrant vibe that you have or the vibrant positivity you have. So the only option we are left out is lively. Even though if you're not sure, vibrant and lively are synonyms to one another, because dull, drab and gloomy are same in one sense in a context, so you can directly pick lively as the option for vibrant. Now coming down to exquisite, okay, exquisite, you have plain, beautiful, ordinary, ugly. Now you all know that at least one word will be very common that you can easily pick up. So this is ugly and you know that's a negative word. And ordinary is also not so special. So this can be close to your ugly. And plain, even this doesn't have that X factor that you're looking for exquisite. So now plain, ordinary and ugly in one context are close to one another. Plain colors, ordinary look, ugly face. You can even frame sentences, put them in sentences and try thinking in the back end as in how they're connected to one another. And then you put it in any sentence, try framing a sentence with these, you'll find that ugly, ordinary and plain are close to one another. So the right answer for your word exquisite is beautiful. So I can pick beautiful as your right answer. And coming down to arduous, this is one word you don't come across so simple or pretty commonly. Now you have 4 words here: easy, simple, difficult, effortless. Now easy is a word that you all know. Simple, even this is a very common word. And easy and simple are close. Maybe in the context they are used or in the meaning they are. Effortless is also very close to easy and simple. The only one which is deviating from these is difficult. And remember, for your synonym based question, there's only one right answer. So that has to be this odd one. So you can directly pick difficult as your answer. If you're aware of easy, simple and effortless, it's easy to pick the odd one and you can directly match it up with arduous. And for this, you need not even check the meaning or try scratching your heads to get the right word. Because there's an odd one out here, pick the odd one and try connecting it with the given word and you have your right word there. So whenever you have a question based out of synonyms, first look into the words you are aware of and try finding similar words to that word which you're aware of. If you find similarities, then you are very close to finding the odd one and the odd one will give the right answer. But if you know the answer directly, then don't you waste your time looking out with other options. Pick the word directly and move on to the next question to save your time. Okay, so at times even the root words like X helps you understand the right or guess the meaning for the word. So also try reading and searching for the root words. Just try reading it. Okay, a brief reading is enough for the test. You need not understand it in depth at this moment because you are running short of time and you have other important topics to cover. So just try finding the root words, reading about them, some of the common root words. Learn about 10 to 15 of common root words and they will help you with some of the most difficult words in breaking down the word and getting the meaning of the word there. So this is all we have about synonyms. Now let's look about antonyms. Let's solve another example for a better understanding. Now, even if you're not aware of the meaning for the word meticulous, you can still solve this question. Because here you have three words which are very close to one another. If you see careful, that's one sense. Careless, and you know that if you're careful, then you can never be careless. So this is opposite to careful. And all you have to do is verify the other two words whether they are in any relation to careless. If the other two options are in relation with careless, then careful will be your answer, even if you do not understand the meaning of meticulous. Or if you know the synonym for meticulous, you can directly pick it up as careful. Now, if you see sloppy or hasty, you might have heard, and you need to use your common sense, general sense as well. Because you hear a lot of time your elders telling you, don't take hasty decisions. And while you watch cricket, you might have heard commentary saying sloppy fielding. The players have been sloppy on the field. Oh, he dropped the catch. He's sloppy on the field. So this will help you understand that these two are a synonym for careless. And you know when you're finding one particular answer, there can never be synonyms in the options. Because as these three are synonyms, that means they are opposite to meticulous. And the only option you have here is careful. So careful has to be the option. And meticulous means something that is taken with precision, something that is very carefully studied. And that's careful here. So the answer is C, careful. So try brainstorming for ideas. Look your familiarity with the words here. You need not just stick to the exact synonym. Even if you don't know the synonym, you can try finding the answer from the rest of the options here. And these are all not words that you haven't ever heard in your life. These are all going to be words from your day-to-day use. You might have come across it somewhere, sometime. All you have to do is just brainstorm for those ideas, and you'll easily identify the one which is a synonym here. Or if you know the word, all you have to do is don't even verify with the other options. Just directly pick down the right answer and move on to the next question. Doing so, you'd be saving some time for later questions from different sections that are much more difficult to answer. So when you know something quick, close it down quick so that you can save some time for the future questions. All right, let me give you a quick synopsis for answering the synonym-based questions. First of all, try understanding the context the word is used in. Because synonym questions, you may get it in two ways. Either they may just ask you to find the synonym for a particular word, or they may give you the word in a sentence and ask you to find a word which means the same to the context it is used in the sentence. You may have a sentence, you have this particular word there, and in what sense did they use the word? According to that sense, you have to find another word from the option which match one another. So always understand the context. So when you pick the context, it will be easy for you to find the synonym. That is possible when it's given as a sentence, or when a single word is given, then you have to directly look out from the options you have. But with the context, you can guess the meaning of the word, and with the meaning that you have from the context, you can easily pick out the word that means the same. Always identify the root words for words which are totally new to you. If you know some of the common root words, and these prefixes and suffixes to the word will also give you some additional clue as in what the meaning of the word can be, like ism and other suffixes, and also prefixes like in, x. These will help you understand the tone, the ideology, how the word is framed. Okay, so learn some of the prefixes and suffixes just to brush up on your skills now. Don't you try understanding in depth, because that's going to take a lot of time. And moreover, it can confuse you in ways where you forget what you have already learned. So at this nick of the time, you've got to knuckle down the test, and for which all you have to do is just revise on prefixes and suffixes along with some of the common root words. This will help you in solving synonyms to words which are difficult at times. And consider the word relationships, because like joy, bliss, happy, all these are having the same meaning and same expression. So when you have these word relationships with the common of words, like pick some 25, 30 common words, and for every word, try connecting with 2, 3, or 4 common words. And with that, make a relationship between the words, and it will be easy for you to remember and crack down the synonym based questions. And finally, eliminate the incorrect option, because as we have solved some previous questions, you have seen that all those answers which are not related to the question have a synonym among the options. So eliminate those incorrect options and pick the odd one, and the odd one will be your synonym for the word. Okay, now so you have some understanding about the synonyms. Try practicing this way. You have any more doubts, put it in the comment section. We'll get back to you on that. But now let's move on to antonyms. Antonyms, as the word suggests, ant, against, opposite, are nothing but you have to find the opposite for the word. Okay, antonyms are always about finding the opposite meaning for the given word. Now you have opposite pairs, okay, odd pairs like hot and cold, quick and slow. You got to know some of the common opposite pairs. Okay, you can just search them over the net, or you have all those opposite pairs explained clearly in our CRT channel. So you can find the previous videos explaining those odd pairs. Well, for now, we have a question like expand. Now you need to find a word which is opposite to expand. Now expand is something that grows big, or that is more than the size. So we need something that is not growing, in fact, which is diminishing or which is contracting. Now grow is same as expand, extend is same as expand, enlarge. So in all these three cases, it is growing beyond, but with contract, it is diminishing in size, getting concise. So this will be the exact opposite for expand. So if you know these opposite word pairs, it will be easy for you, especially with antonyms. Unlike the synonyms, the approach has to be a little different for your antonyms, wherein you should be aware of some of the word pairs. Now coming down to brave, okay, the very word brave, if you want, you can put it in a sentence and try finding the meaning, like a brave soldier, someone who's courageous. Now we have courageous. That's a direct meaning to brave, so it cannot be an option. Bold is same as brave. But we have fearful. Now fearful need not always be an antonym to brave. It depends on the context. Maybe someone who's fearful is out of respect for someone. But here we need an exact opposite. So brave, a brave soldier or a brave person is someone who doesn't back off, who is not hesitant, who doesn't get back. A fearful person may get back for some time, but he can retaliate or he can move forward. But a brave person is totally courageous at all the moment, and he is ready, willing to take the risk, move forward. So this fearful may not be the exact opposite. So you got to check with another word. Here we have cowardly, someone who backs off, someone who's not willing to put down a fight. This fearful need not be a person who doesn't put up a fight. Okay, he may be a little hesitant, but this one runs away from the battlefield. So this will be the exact opposite for brave. So they can confuse you with similar words like fearful and cowardly and try to confuse you, pick the one. So because most of the people know about fearful and less of, I mean, like not the majority, but uh, quite a few number of people may be aware of cowardly. So people mostly tend to go for fearful, but understand the context here. And the word pair, the opposite word pair for brave is cowardly. If you are aware of that, it's easy to pick it up. Or when you have to eliminate the odd one, you may have a confusion. In that case, put down the word in a sentence and see if these two, if any of these two perfectly matches it. If anyone, whatever the one, because you know fearful, if you can just put down like a brave soldier, a fearful soldier. A fearful soldier can still be courageous. So that's another context. For that reason, because this is not equally matching with brave, then you can go with cowardly even if you don't know the meaning of it. So try it out with the one which you know, and if it doesn't suit, go for the one, or the only option that is left out. Here we have generous. Okay, so generous has stingy, altruistic, charitable, and benevolent. You all know charity. So generous, be generous in giving, be charitable. Charity and generous, they are same to one another. So this cannot be the option. And you have altruistic and benevolent. Benign, bin, this is a prefix which is used for something that is mild, soft. Because generous is also a soft word, so benevolent can never be your option. So you can take it off. So you have stingy and altruistic. Now this alt is a is the root word that helps you understand. Altruistic is a person who is selfless, like he wants to put in everything to find out a common cause. So this alt tells it's similar to generous. So the only option we have is stingy. And altruistic is not about donating, it's about being selfless or someone who's excessively into it. But generous is not excessively. So altruist cannot be the answer and it has to be stingy. All right. So root words are very important. Root words, prefixes and suffixes are very important more than synonyms. You find it very much helpful for your antonyms. Now here we have victory, and the direct thing we have defeat. This is an odd pair. Okay, opposite pair. So find out some of the opposite pairs and you can easily pick it up. Success, triumph, achievement all talk about a victory beyond it, a victory beyond any situation. But defeat is something you are not and passing the situation. So it's easy to connect victory with defeat. And now rapid. Okay. So this is one word you might have heard it a lot during the corona time. So rapid test. And you know it that the rapid test gave you results in immediately in 15 minutes or 10 minutes. So it has to be fast. You need to always put the word in the context you heard about. All right. Now swift, you know the car swift, which is very fast. So maybe related to rapid. Okay. Oh, I gave you a wrong option here. Already we have a rapid here, so this cannot be the one. And quick, something that is really swift is quick. So this is all related. The only one we have here is slow, and that will be your option. So eliminate the odd one, all right, and the odd one will be the answer here. Okay, eliminate the ones which are very close in meaning, and you will find the odd one, which is your antonym for the given word. All right. So these are some of the ways you can quickly answer these questions, and I'll try to give you a quick synopsis as in what to do and how to do it for the antonyms. Okay, so far we've discussed about synonyms and antonyms. Now let's look into sentence correction that's based out of your grammar. So you'll be given sentences, and either you'll be asked to verify the genuinity of the sentence in terms of the grammar, or you'll be asked to spot the particular error in the sentence there, for which you need to know the parts of speech. Having an idea about the parts of speech will help you understand the right sentence, identify the right one, or pick the error from the given sentence. Also, you may be given sentences with blanks in between where you need to fill the blank with one of these parts of speech that we have. As you all know, it's nouns here. Nouns deal about the names. I'm not getting into details of each of these parts of speech. I'm just going to touch on these concepts because having an idea is enough for the test. There's only one good rule about the nouns, that's all proper nouns should begin with capital letters. You write the name, you write the place, thing, or an animal, it should begin with a capital letter. If it is in lowercase, that's an error in the sentence. Usually they don't give it so easy for you, but they may test it out with the universal pronoun I. If you find a sentence with I in the lowercase, that's the error. Even this is so simple. But instead what they do here is, they try to mix I and the noun in a sentence and ask you to identify the error in the sentence. Now coming to the verbs, these are all action verbs. They help describe the action that's taking place in a sentence. Now we have a subject and an object in any common sentence. A sentence has a subject, verb, and an object. Now these verbs we have transitive and intransitive verbs. If you want a clear explanation about transitive and intransitive verbs, you can refer to our portal for the CRT training, and there you have a clear explanation about transitive and intransitive verbs. You can access it, and then they're going to ask you whether the verb form is right for the given sentence or not. And then these adjectives. Adjectives add quality to the noun, and they can only qualify the noun. If you have any other part of speech apart from a noun or a pronoun in a sentence, then your adjective is misplaced. So that's the error you have to spot out from the sentence. And coming to the adverbs, adverbs qualify both nouns, verbs, another adverb. This is one concept you should be very careful about and try knowing it in detail, because you will be given questions based on adverbs, an adverb placed improperly, or an adverb adding more meaning, that's a redundancy, something that's more than sufficient, more than needed. So this adverb may be an odd one in the sentence there. All you have to do is identify if it perfectly fits into the sentence, or if this adverb is distorting or trying to give a different meaning to the sentence. And you know, nouns and pronouns. Pronouns use also has a great importance in sentences, because not every time we'll be using nouns, at times we'll be using pronouns like he, she, it, that, they. Now when we use these, he, she, it, that, they, there are certain rules to follow based on the verb that's there in the sentence. Alright? And they intentionally give you an error with respect to the pronoun in the sentence there. While using the he, they may give a noun in the sentence, and that creates a confusion. That's why you should be careful about and pick the error from the sentence. Conjunctions are connectors in simple, like and. They combine two sentences or two ideas in a sentence. Now these conjunctions have certain rules with them while we use them. And based on those rules, you will be asked to spot the error in the sentence. So pick up a conjunction, see if it's properly placed. Is it just connecting the ideas in the sentence, or is it connecting two entities or two objects in a sentence? Based on that, you have to take a call whether the conjunction is right or wrong. And the most important one is prepositions. Mostly you'll be tested in terms of prepositions like in, on, at, for, from, because these prepositions inadvertently we try using them in a real wrong way in the regular communication, because regular communication doesn't need it, because we can use it the way we want, because it's all about conveying the idea. But when it comes to the written document, when it comes to documenting something, prepositions play a very vital role. And if a preposition is placed improperly, complete meaning changes. Most of the people in day-to-day conversations, they just say, I came to office on bike, which is the wrong way of using the preposition. It's by. So try learning the prepositions like in. Where should this in be used? Is it for the place? Is it for the time? Is it for the position? At, on. These three main prepositions, if you're good at, you can spot the errors easily from the sentence. So brush up on your parts of speech. You need not read them in depth. You need not remember the definitions, but know the right usage of it. And that's more than enough for spotting errors in a sentence. Further, let's see what are the other areas where you will be tested for spotting the errors in a sentence. As part of your sentence correction, this is another area that will test. So based on subject-verb agreement, they're going to give you sentences and ask you to find the error in the sentence. The basic rule here is singular verb, okay, singular subject, singular verb, plural subject, plural verb. In a sentence, if you have a singular subject, it will always take a singular verb. And in a sentence, if you have a plural subject, it will take a plural verb. Let's take a simple example. The list of items placed on the table. Now here, the verb should be between is or are. Now if we take the verb as are, then that's the error in the sentence, because as per the rule, if the subject is singular, the verb has to be singular, and here the subject is list, which is in singular form. So the verb should be here is. So they may test you by giving are in the sentence and ask you to spot if there are any errors in the sentence or the sentence is completely clean. One trick to remember here is anything that comes before of in sentences like this will be the subject. So if your subject is singular, always pick a singular verb. And in the case of a sentence, most often the case is all the verbs end with s for singular, and if there is no s, it's plural. If the verb ends with s, it's going to be singular. If the verb ends without s, it's going to be plural. So this is one part you have to check. First you need to identify the subject and then verify with the verb if they are in unison or if they are in agreement, then you can say the sentence is right without any errors. If you find there is a deviation with the rule we have, the most common rule, in that case you need to identify this particular part as the error in the sentence. And whenever two subjects are connected by and, it will always have a plural verb. In any sentence, if there are two subjects and those two subjects, they may be singular or plural, if they are connected with and, in that case the sentence will always have a plural verb. And this is another important rule from subject verb agreement. Altogether we have 8 different rules for subject verb agreement, and they're not really tough to remember. So what you can do is just refer to the rules and try solving few questions based out of subject verb agreement. So either you can try filling the blanks there, or you can try out with sentences while spotting those errors as you see in the sentence there. Doing this way, you can be rest assured for the test that you are going to score at least 1 to 2 marks out of the total that you have for the verbal based on subject verb agreement. There are other rules which are also important, but these are the two main rules: singular subject, singular verb; plural subject, plural verb. And whenever two subjects are connected by and, it should have a plural verb. So be careful about it. Just try remembering these ideas for the test. Apart from this, there are remaining 6 rules. So just give a glance into those rules. Just glance them. You need not remember them. Just glance through the rules, practice some questions, and that will be more than sufficient for the test. The next topic is tenses. Spotting the errors based on tenses is another important aspect for the test. Now we know there are 3 tenses: present tense, past tense, and future tense. And each of these tense has 4 different categories: simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous. And people always have trouble whenever it comes to tenses. They're not sure which tense to use. And if these tenses are not properly related, properly used, the meaning of the sentence totally changes, which creates a trouble in understanding a person. All right. So here, what they are going to do on the test is they're going to give you sentences which has an error in terms of simple present, present continuous, present perfect, or the present perfect continuous. Well, there are a lot of rules for tenses, and it's not possible to completely cover those rules. But only thing you can do here is just read the rules of these tenses and try solving as many questions as you can based out of tenses, because tenses is very important topic for identifying errors in a sentence, and they intentionally give you some errors based on these tense there. We know that present tense, we use it for day-to-day happening or something that's in the current moment or something that's present at the moment. And we use past tense for things that have already happened in the past. And the future tense is about things that are going to happen in the future. These simple present, simple past, and simple future have no trouble because they are the simple sentences in English we have. But we have trouble when we are using continuous, perfect, perfect continuous tense, or past continuous, past perfect, or past perfect continuous tense. So is the case with future tense. Knowing the rules of these tenses is important. All you have to do now is brush up on your skills in terms of these tenses. Okay, just need to know which tense and how is it used. Like, when do we use a perfect present continuous tense? When do we use a present perfect tense? And when do we use a present perfect tense? And then when you read the sentence there, based on the context, based on the action happening in the sentence there, you can take a call. It is in the guidelines given to these rules, or is it deviating from the rule? That will help you easily identify the error in the sentence. All right. So present, past, and future. Just try learning the rules of these. Only read them, don't you remember any part of it. So, uh, the last segment of your error spotting, I mean, like we have one more, but the one before that is the voice and parallelism. Now, voice, we know we have two cases here, active and passive. All you have to know is which voice to use. If you have clarity on which voice to use, it's going to be easy for you to spot the error or find the perfect passive voice for the given sentence. This happens in two ways. Either they ask you to spot the error from the sentence, or they are going to ask you to find the passive voice or the active voice to given sentence there. Now, when do we use active and when do we use passive? In simple, we use active voice when action is important, and we use passive voice when the doer in the sentence is important. Let me give you a simple example here. The cat chased the mouse. Here, action is important. In the second case, we are more interested in the person who delivered the action. The mouse was chased by the cat. And also, so when you're trying to solve questions based out of the voice, if you have to find the passive and active voice, all you have to do is see who is performing the action and who is the doer there. And then easily you can convert them to active and passive voice, vice versa. So here all you have to identify is what's the action or who is the doer. So in your sentence, if you find that the doer is at the last, or the doer is at the penultimate part of the sentence, then it's passive voice. And if you find the doer at the beginning of the sentence, it is active voice. And based on this simple rule, they're going to shuffle or they're going to change the order and present you sentences either to spot the errors, or they may directly ask you to find the next voice to that with 4 options, of which one of the option is going to be the right one. The right option will always reflect on action or the doer. Okay, so if you can just identify the action or the right doer from the sentences given to you with one of the voices, then it will be easy for you to identify the right sentence. Another major concept is parallelism, and we use parallelism everywhere. All the sentences have parallelism. This is one writing tool which really helps the writer to explain his thoughts clearly to the audience without using too many sentences. It's like reflecting multiple ideas together in a sentence. And just as the word suggests parallel, so even in a sentence we have parallel ideas running side by side, but they do not intersect with one another. But the only rule here is we've got to check for balance in the sentence. The sentence has to be grammatically balanced, only then parallelism reflects. Let me give you a simple example here. Now, this sentence speaks about Olympic athletes. They usually like to practice, compete, and eating ice cream sandwiches. Here, there are three aspects about Olympic athletes and their liking. And they like practice, compete, but here it's eating ice cream sandwiches. Now, this is a gerund, and these are in 2 plus verb form. Now, you need not remember 2 plus verb form, gerund, you need not learn all of these. All you can see is there is some disturbance or there is something that's out of normal, because you see practice and compete, but there is ing form here, which is creating a trouble. Now, if you go by the literal meaning, so they practice and compete by eating ice cream sandwiches is the literal meaning of the sentence we get. But that is not the case. They want to do all these three activities. So there has to be a balance. And the balance is deviating because of eating here. So this is the error part in the sentence. So all you have to do is identify if all the verbs are in the same form or not. If they are deviating from one another, then it's a clear error there. All right? Or even in the number, you cannot have a plural and singular form here. Even the numbers have to match. Verb forms have to match. Parts of speech has to match. And then parallelism is reflected in the sentences. All right? So all you have to do is check grammatically, is the sentence balanced or not? Is it present in the same form of parts of speech, noun, number, verb form, or the subject matter? And then you can understand there is a uniformity or not. If there is a little or even a word that is deviating, then you can easily identify that is the one, that's the error in the sentence there. All right, so this is about the voice and the parallelism, and now we'll move on to punctuation. So the last lab in grammar and usage, which is useful, which is tested in terms of sentence correction, is punctuation and the articles. So you can be given or you may be presented with punctuation errors in a sentence, in a paragraph, and asked to identify those errors. Usually punctuation errors are in terms of a full stop, comma, apostrophe, colon, or semicolon. Now, we use a full stop at the end of a sentence. That's known to one and all. But people tend to place a comma even for an incomplete sentence. That's a mistake. Now, you have an incomplete sentence. To further continue the sentence, you have to use a comma. So here's a little shuffle between full stop and the comma that can create a mistake in a sentence. So all you have to do is you have to see whether the sentence is complete or not. And how do you know that a sentence is complete or not? A sentence is complete when it has a complete finished thought, when it tries to explain you something in total. There is no question mark beyond the sentence. And once a thought is complete, you've got to place it with full stop. But if you have a thought or if you have an idea that has to be supported with another idea within a sentence, then you will be using comma. Comma is used to separate similar subjects relating to a common subject. Okay, so the main reason for using comma is sorting or separating identities or entities in a sentence that belong to a common subject. And comma is also used for separating two simple sentences in a compound statement. So if you have a compound statement, then comma must be placed before the beginning of the next idea. And the next idea is usually begin with Just remember fanboys for and not but or yet so. In a compound sentence, it should always begin with a comma placed before these. And in a compound sentence, you will not find these coordinating conjunctions at the beginning of sentence. You will find it in the second half of the sentence. When you have two ideas, two simple sentences, and you want to combine them together in one big statement or make a statement, in that case, you make use of this coordinating conjunction, place a comma before that. If the comma is not placed, then they act as conjunction, which is not right for the sentence. So whenever you are using comma to combine two simple sentences using a coordinating conjunction, the coordinating conjunction should have a comma before that. The next case is apostrophe, and this is used as a case of possession. All right. Here, comma must be placed before S. So this S doesn't denote the plural form because child is singular, children is plural. But here we are talking about a case of possession. This particular day belonging to children, so it has to be children's day with apostrophe. And if in case apostrophe is missing, then it's a grammatical error. So the case of possession, does the following entity belongs to the subject? Based on this, they're going to check your grammar skills. And we use colon to define things. Now this example is defining these places. For example, so always for defining things we use colon. The only rule for colon is things before and after colon should be interdependent on one another. So what is Italy here? Example. And what's the example? Italy. So they should be interdependent on one another. They cannot be independent of each. If they are independent of each, then you have improperly placed this colon here. And coming to semicolon, this is completely different from this. The cow is old, it is brown in color. Now, these are independent of one another. They're not interdependent. Here they are interdependent on one another for colon. For semicolon, they are independent of one another. For a cow to be old, there is no rule it has to be brown in color. And for a cow to be brown in color, there is no rule it has to be old. And these are two simple sentences. And another thing to remember is after a semicolon, unless and until it is a noun, we will not use a capital letter. This is something you should keep in mind because based on that, you're going to get a question. And in this case, unless and until it's a new sentence or a new definition or it's a proper noun, we are not going to use capital letter. In all the other cases, we are going to use lowercase. Only if it's the beginning of a new sentence or there's a noun after that. But here in all the cases except for universal pronoun I and a noun, we will use lowercase only. That's to do with the capital letters for your punctuation, especially while you use colon and semicolon. The common ground rule here is all nouns begin with a capital letter, and the universal pronoun will always be written with I as the capital letter. We will not write I in lowercase. I'm coming down to your articles. We've got definite article and indefinite article. When do we use a definite article? For specific. When we are specific about subject or an object, we use definite article. When we are not specific, we use indefinite article. Okay, let's see what is the specific and non-specific.
Video 1 hour 6 minutes. 5 minutes. మామూలుగా అయితే లైవ్ కూడా వేసుకోవచ్చు, రికార్డెడ్ కూడా రికార్డెడ్ కూడా లైవ్ లాగే వెళ్తుంది. ఇప్పుడు రికార్డెడే కదా లైవ్ లాగా వెళ్తుంది.
When we say let's read the book, we are specific about that particular book. But when we say let's read a book, that book can be any book. It can be a magazine, it can be a fiction story, a novel, a short story, or your subject books. It can be any book, it can take up any form. But when we say let's read the book, we are specific about that particular book. Okay, so when we want to specify things, when we are sure about the thing, referring to the thing in a sentence, we use definite article. When we are not specific, we use indefinite articles a or an. Now here's one little catch about a or an. We use a for all consonant sounds. So whenever any word begins with a consonant sound, we use a.
1 hour 6 minutes का है.
And whenever it begins with a vowel sound or a syllable, it begins with a syllable, then we use
पूरा लाइव
an.
हो रहा है सर. अरे बाप रे.
Now you may get it out. Is it AMLA or
ठीक है सर.
ANMLA?
कैसे है वो?
Here we have the syllable
कैमरा नहीं
or the sound M, which has
Okay.
a vowel sound. So it has to be
क्या बोल
ANMLA,
गया है सर?
not
अभी आ रहा
AMLA.
है क्या? ये भी आ रहा है?
ANMBA.
हम माताड़ेंगे.
And for the same reason, we don't say an European or European, because it starts with U, the Y sound, which is not a vowel sound. Although we have a vowel here, but it begins with a consonant sound. For that reason, we write a European. We will not write an European. So this is about a and an indefinite article and the specific definite article. And whenever you have articles used before a country, you may get it out whether to go with the or without the article. Now let's take this simple example. And for the same reason, we don't. Whenever the country has preposition of in it, then we always use definite article the before the country name. If that country doesn't have a preposition, we go with a simple name. We are not supposed to keep article before that. All right, that's the reason we say the United States of America, the United Arab Emirates, and we just say India, Sri Lanka. We don't say the India, the Sri Lanka. Okay, so if a country doesn't have preposition, then no article. If it has a preposition in its name, then we're going to use definite article the. Similar is the case with mountains and mountain peaks. If you have mountain peaks, we don't place article. But if it is a group of hills, all right, Himalayas is group of mountains. Andes is group of mountains, the Eastern Ghats, the Western Ghats. When we have a chain of mountains, we place definite article. If it is a mountain peak, no need of an article before that. All right. So these are the rules about the articles that you should be minding for your test. Beyond this, you don't need too many things to understand. Well, this session has given you, I hope this session has given you some insights into the grammar usage and finding the errors and other aspects related to the NQT test. In the next session, I will be dealing with other important aspects for the test. If you have any doubts or if you have any questions, post it in the comments and I'll respond to them. Thank you for watching and giving me this opportunity to help you out for the NQT test. There's a lot more coming up in the next video, so stay tuned.